Welcome back to the Church of King David. I am your servant, Adapted On Harris. And today we're going to look at the film Metropolis and other video clips that tell us about the plan. And that this plan has been in plain sight for at least over 100 years or more. Well into almost 300 years, because the plan began with slavery. And for those of our people that don't like to talk about slavery, they don't want to make that connection. They want everybody to be happy and get along. Well, you better pay attention to what they're putting in these films. Because in these films like Metropolis, they are telling you that they are going to annihilate black people, because they know that black people are God's chosen people. We are the real Jews, and there's no sense in hiding that. So we're going to look at some videos. We're going to look at some scriptures that are going to help us understand this plan and why you need to get your houses together. Because according to the film Metropolis, all of this begins in 2026, and we're just a half a year away from it being 2026. And so let me jump right into, let's look at the film Metropolis. And as you're looking at it, I want you to pay attention to, at the end, when the preacher comes out and he holds up the Bible. And when he holds up the Bible, he goes to the book of Revelations and he shows you the whore of Babylon, which is Christianity, which is the United States. It's both of these two things together, because you can't have one without the other. But when he holds up the Bible, they show you a scene. They cut to a scene where they show black people holding up this bowl that the beast comes out of. And this is also, I believe it's in the book of Zechariah, where he saw the woman of wickedness, which is America, come out of the bowl. And so they have these black people holding up this bowl, holding up the bowl of America or Christianity. But in the end, the black people are turned to stone. And I want to make the argument that this part of the film is speaking about Ezekiel's dry bones. So let's take a look at this film, and then I'll come back and then we'll look at some verses from the Bible and other sources, because this is very serious. All the heads of the households need to watch this video, and they really need to get their family's mind in order, their mindset together. Come out of the mindset of the world and be isolated from the world and focus on Yahweh and his plan of salvation, because he says that this is going to happen. He's going to cause this to happen. Whether we want it to happen or not, it's going to happen. And they're telling you that they understand that they're going to make it happen. And so all the heads of the household need to begin to step up and bring their families' minds back into the scriptures, get their sons and their daughters, their wives, their grandchildren ready, because 2026 is not that far away. And we see the plan and everything going into motion. Now, I want to say this before I go to the film. Robots is code for you, okay? Now, robots will actually exist in this plan, but the robots are black people, because another way of saying robot is slave. And they have the mindset to put us back inside of these plantations, like the farms. Like Trump is, he wants to take people and make them go work on the farms. Okay. And a farm is, to me, another way of telling me that it's a plantation. And so they are reactivating these same elements that were activated at the beginning of slavery. They want us working in their fields to produce food and materials for them to enjoy. And so we see this plan already going into motion in 2025. But with that being said, let's look at a clip of Metropolis, and y'all tell me what y'all see in this clip. All right, so let's go to the film Metropolis. As you can see on your screen, this is a giant bowl, which America and the beast, right? Christianity and the United States cause black people to bear. This is what this scene is telling you, right? And that beast is coming out of this bowl or the bottomless pit, and it's going to come out this bowl to oppress us. In other words, it's going to put the bowl on our backs, and we're going to see that with Zechariah here. All right, so Zechariah chapter 5 verse 6, when Zechariah said, "And I said, what is it? And the angel said, this is the bowl that goeth forth. He said, moreover, this is their resemblance through all the earth. An ephah is a bowl." And we're going to see that this bowl is used by indigenous people throughout all the earth, including our ancestors during slavery. So let's look at these pictures here. See the bowl? The bowl is the same no matter what region of the world you look at. You see our ancestor here, he's picking cotton. Our ancestor there, look at this plaque on her neck, and she's got that bowl. So this is what the angel was telling her, that this would be the resemblance throughout the earth. In other words, this is the symbol of Christian and American power over the children of God, over the children of Judah, over the children of Israel. And so all over the world, you're going to see us with this bowl. And you're going to see other indigenous people that they oppressed with this bowl. But you see this lovely child here, she's got the bowl. You see these depictions. You see the bowl. They're carrying that bowl. This is their resemblance throughout all the earth. You see that? Look at it. Look at this. This is recent. Look at this picture here. Even in Egypt, we were carrying that bowl. This lady in India, I believe, she's got that bowl on her head. Look at this. Got the bowl. Even got this man, he's got the bowl. Look at our ancestors out here in the field, picking this cotton. Look at all of these bowls that were prophesied by the angel speaking to Zechariah. Look at this sister here. She's got the bowl. He's got the bowl. They make children even carry the bowl. Look at that. She's making a bowl. Look at this. Just keep looking, y'all. Look at this. This is their resemblance throughout all the earth. Let me go back and read it. What did it say? The angel said, this is their resemblance throughout all the earth. And behold, there was lifted up a lid of talent. And this is a woman that sitteth in the midst of the bowl. And he said, this is wickedness. Okay, let's go back to the film. Let's watch the woman come out. See, Adaptodonis and I used to watch Turner, I think it's called Turner Classic Movies or something. And we used to watch all of this stuff. So y'all see, she's cupping out that bowl, just like the angel said. You see, this is wickedness. You see her? She's coming out that bowl. I can't play it because it's not going to record it correctly, because for some reason something slowed down this camera. But in other words, let's just keep doing it. All right, so there she goes. That's the woman of wickedness. That's America / Christianity in all her glory. So she's doing this dance. And she's stirring up all the white men. Now, in this part of the scene, they cut to this preacher who is in all black, and he's preaching from their pulpit, and he's going to reveal something. Pay attention, because he's going to speak about the black people that are going to be killed and then resurrected when Christ comes, and then Christ is going to use that sickle on them. Now see, he sees the vision. This white man, he sees the vision. All right, so America is still dancing. She's not paying attention. She's just dancing, causing men to lust after her. All right, they go back to the preacher. Now pay attention. He's holding up the Bible, and he's telling them that that woman is the whore of Babylon, right? Which is actually Christianity, which is ironically, which is Christianity, and she's sitting on the beast. Now remember, she caused us to have this basket, to carry this basket. This is the symbol of her power. She is not physically in the basket, but her power is in that basket that we go out and we collect her riches. Okay. So this preacher is telling them that. Watch and see what happens. All right, so she comes up, right? America gets her power off the backs of black people. Now, in that scene, let me go back to the scene. Now, remember, all the black people that's upholding the bowl were turned to stone. Their life was taken from them. And so this is those who also perished. And this individual with the sickle, the grim reaper, is Christ, because he's coming back with that sickle. I remember in Revelations, the angels tell him to throw in his sickle because the harvest is ripe, right? And so he's coming to resurrect the house of Israel. Right? He's not coming to resurrect the Christianity. So if you got Christianity on the brain, you're not in this. You're staying dead. Okay? He's only resurrecting the black people who understand who they are. Okay? Pay attention. You see? See how they move? And this is the angel blowing the trumpet. The bone is the trumpet. You see how they moving? You see? Now they die. You see, now the ones that were holding up the basket, they die. They turn to stone. This is Ezekiel's dry bones. All right. Now with that, let's go to Ezekiel's dry bones. And let's prove to you that everyone that is resurrected in Ezekiel's dry bones are the children of Israel. And you should know this by now if you watch the videos. but it's such an important thing that I'm going to read it again. All right, so this is Ezekiel 37. I'll start at verse 10, and it says, "So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army." Now, if you go to the book of Joel, chapter 2, you'll read about Yahweh standing over his army. And so this is what the army is, right? When that trumpet makes that sound, and the trumpet is blown in Zion, not Christianity, because Christianity is linked with the whore of Babylon, who is sitting upon the beast, which is the entire world. All the nations in the world make up the beast, or the European nations in the world make up the beast that control the world. And so America is the whore that is sitting upon all of the European nations. So verse 11 says, "Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel." So when we go back and look at that scene, and we see all the black people are dead, they knew this in 1927 is the point, that they knew that the Christian doctrine was a lie, but it was a way to keep the multitude of black people asleep. That was the whole point of them allowing you to go into the churches. You understand? Because they knew it was a lie. So Ezekiel is saying that those bones that are going to be resurrected, they are the whole house of Israel. So if you're believing in Christianity, you're believing in something that will not exist. And they know it because they make many films about it. Like I said, Adonis and I used to watch all of these old films, and we were really astonished how they were just regurgitating these themes over and over and over and over again, because they know that if they do that, they are programming you to believe a certain thing. But at the same time, they're telling you the truth in their own special way, I guess I could say, right? They're telling you that. So again, the bones which America will destroy is the whole house of Israel. This is why they have weapons that can affect certain groups of people and not others, right? They have biological weapons that can target this ethnic group and not all the rest. And that would give us Ezekiel's dry bones, because this is a Pacific massacre that is going to take place. And this is a part of that plan, that you men who are the heads of the household, you need to preach this to your house and to your children, because this is the finale. Because we know that the scriptures say that nothing will be made like Christ. When Paul says that nothing is quickened except to die, what he is really saying is that none of us will be made like Christ until we take off this current avatar that we're living through right now, until these bodies are taken off, until these bodies are destroyed. And so our enemies see this as a prime opportunity to try to take advantage, because if they know that we must die, and that God has prophesied that we are going to die, that we must die, because nothing is going to be made like Christ except to die. And this is the ultimate faith. And this is the respect that the black community must now give to God's elect, these men that will perish in this event, only to be resurrected 3.5 days later. We're going to be resurrected 3.5 days later. So it's going to be well worth it. But the black community needs to realize the respect that they need to give to these men. Because if I go to Leviticus, because these men are the brides of Christ. They are the bride of Christ. They are the ones that will be married to Christ. And earlier this week, I was speaking about, I didn't put it on YouTube, but I was speaking about common salvation, how so many of our people are taking the scriptures for granted. They don't understand that there's different levels of salvation, and there's different levels of the resurrection. Like some of us are going to be resurrected to look like Christ. Others are not. Others are going to be resurrected to look like monsters, like their bodies are deteriorating. And so you have to understand what is really going on. Now, if I go to Leviticus chapter 4, we're going to read that the rulers, the elect, those brave men that are willing to put everything on the line to get this done, that Christ's death was for them, right? For the rulers, which is the elect. Christ died only for them. He didn't die for the whole world. No. We're going to read that the common salvation needs something else to die for it. And that's going to be these black men who make up the feminine side of this prophecy. They're not women, but they're playing that role of the woman when the beast decides to unalive us, if you can understand. So let me prove this for you. For those of you who do not understand this. All right, so this is Leviticus chapter 4, and I'm going to read verse 22. And it says, what does it say here? It says, when the ruler has sinned, right? So when the elect have sinned and done somewhat through ignorance against any of the commandments of Yahweh, his Elohim, concerning things which should not be done, and is guilty, I want y'all to pay attention. Or if he sinned, wherein he has sinned, come to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish. Okay? So the male without blemish, according to the law of God, which cannot be broken, is for the rulers. Christ died for his elect only. Christianity generalized that to make everybody feel like Christ died for them, and he did not. Now let's go further down in this law right here. Because Jude, in the book of Jude, spoke about common salvation. So here in the law, now how did Jude know to speak about that? Because in the law, right? Like Paul said, the law was our schoolmaster that brings us to Christ. So if you don't know the law, you won't know Christ. So let's listen. It says, and if any one of the common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of Yahweh concerning the things which ought not to be done, and be guilty, or if he sin, which he had sinned, come to his knowledge, then he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a female without spot, without blemish, for his sin which he had sinned. See, our enemies were very successful at how they taught the Bible to us. They taught it to us in a way to keep us away from understanding what the scriptures were actually saying. I mean, many people are going to disagree with what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it. They plagiarized the word of God to the point that it's not functioning right in your mind because of the plagiarism, right? They changed things, they altered things, and what they didn't change or alter or take out or did not allow to exist in their authorized version, they simply gave you a different narrative of how to perceive it. They brainwashed you. They brainwashed you. So many of us are living underneath a spell that even if we were to read the scriptures, we wouldn't perceive it. We couldn't perceive it because they also, and I'm going to say also because David also prayed the same thing, that those of you that weren't worthy to understand the word shouldn't understand it because you will mess it up. So it's a blessing and a curse what they did, because on one hand, for the blessing, they stopped all of you frauds from understanding what the real word of God was saying. And it's a curse because those of you that have followed it are damned because you don't have the love of the truth. You have love of song, music, Christmas, Thanksgiving. You love things that are really not found in the word. So the elect will play the role of the female without blemish for your sakes. We are about to get punished for your sakes. Like a Hushai laid down his life for us and gave us new life. We can't be selfish and not turn around and think about y'all. So if you see a man that is contending for the crown, appreciate him. Wash his feet. Make sure he has food and clothing. Just love this man unconditionally, because what we are doing is unprecedented. The only one to do what we're about to do is Christ. No one else. And many of the elect who came before me didn't even know that this is what their responsibility is that they must lay down their lives for you. This is why Paul was telling you that we must love our wives. He wasn't talking about the physical woman only, right? She is given to us as a lesson so every man can have this understanding that he must be willing to lay down his life for the common people. That's our wife, if you understand. Now let me jump into some other scriptures here. Where do I want to go? Let's go to the seal. And I'm going to read, I believe this is chapter 72. I believe this is chapter 72. And I'm going to read about what it says about the United States. Yes, 72. All right, so I'll start at verse 1 and I'll read. And I want y'all to understand what is happening, y'all. This plan to bring us to the valley of dry bones is the system of that begins, according to their knowledge, in 2026, less than a half a year away, less than 5 months away, a little over 5 months away. This cycle begins. And so when you see a man giving all he got for this word, you appreciate him because he's fighting for you. He has to die for you. He's not going to die for himself alone, because we can't save ourselves. We already been saved. The elect has already been saved. Christ died for us. And now we come back. We're reincarnated to save you. Y'all might not like that. But if I read, let me go to Ezekiel's dry bones. Let's just be clear about this. Because if I'm lying, then it's after the resurrection. It should not tell us that King David, is going to be your prince forever, your king forever. Christ is his king. Right? So when we read the term, it really should say the King of Kings, right? Because the covenant of kings is with King David. It's not with Christ. Christ is the King of David, right? The rock above him, the rock above David. David is the rock of the rest of you, common people. But the rock of the house of David is Christ. And we stand on him. Y'all gonna have to stand on us. And this is why Christ told you that Peter, who is King David, is the rock. He's the foundation now. After the resurrection happens, he's the foundation. Let me prove this to you. All right, so this is Ezekiel's dry bones. All right, so we already told about the resurrection, right? That Yahweh resurrected the whole house of Israel. Now let's go down to here. And this is why I preach the one family policy. Let me read this. I'll start right here in verse 15 because of what this says here. It says, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companion. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Now, this is happening after the resurrection. It's not happening now, like so many of the Hebrew Israelites think to jump the gun. But they're not following this to the T. Even if it was authentic, they're jumping the gun, because this is happening after the resurrection, when we are raised from the dead and we receive the spirit of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai into our resurrected bodies. Then we go out to gather our people who were in ignorance, right? That weren't a part of that resurrection. Listen. It says, say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in thy hand, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and I will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in thy hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thy hand before their eyes. All right, so this is after the resurrection. Let me keep that in your head. So he says, and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen. See, now we're going to gather y'all from the world, right? Whether they be gone, and we'll gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. So this doesn't happen until after we are resurrected. We, meaning the elect, not all of y'all, not y'all common people, not y'all common believers in Christ, because there's going to be a penalty if you're not if you don't want to accept the excellent knowledge of Christ. If you just want to, stay stuck on stupid, that's on you. But listen, it says, I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king, lowercase k, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with idols. So y'all won't be allowed to be Christians anymore, or Muslims, or anything else, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. Now listen. So he already told you that one king is going to be over you. So you're not going to be able to play this game as we are in the post-resurrection, right? Or in the pre-resurrection, where you got everybody wanting to be the leader. I was going to shut that down in the resurrection. That's why I said I can wait, and I'm going to wait. But listen. So after the resurrection, we're going to have one king, and that king is going to be David. And it says here, and David, my servant, shall be king over them. That's case closed. Not this guy or that guy, or this guy over here, or that guy over there. Let me tell you something. Paul, many of the Hebrew Israelites are following behind the Apostle Paul in the reincarnation right now. But Paul is not among the chief disciples. He is not among the 12 apostles. So now you have a problem. Because even at that stage, that those of you that are following behind the construction of Paul are still going to have to convert. You're still going to have to convert from that to David. And like I said, I can wait. So let me read this again. And it says, and David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they shall have one shepherd, which is David. They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. See, many of y'all talking about Jesus Christ that you don't even realize that when David is resurrected, he is going to be your king. And y'all will live and die in this world, and David will be the king over this world forever. Now, for all of you Christians, let me read this. Let me read the rest of this. And it says, because this doesn't apply to you Christians, right? Even in that Metropolis scene, right? What they're showing you is they're showing you through the church that Christians don't inherit this thing, because Christ did not, the only people in that clip that went behind Christ with that sickle, which they're saying is the Grim Reaper, because he is the Grim Reaper for them, because Christ is going to come and punish them for what they have done to his people, right? But the people behind him, there were no Christians in that scene. They were all black people turned to stone. The Valley of Dry Bones is telling us that it's the same people that Metropolis is telling us. And they knew that in 1927 when they made that film. How come you people that go to church don't know any of this? You don't know any of this. You don't have the love of the truth. If we're going to be fair, the white man's world, the white man investigates a lot of stuff. He wants to know what's true and what's not true. Black people, we take it for granted. We take it all for granted. But let me finish this out. And it says, moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. With who? Who is the God of gods going to make a covenant peace with? The children of Israel. And it shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will place them, and I will multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. His sanctuary is the church of King David. And that's going to come down out of heaven. That's the church. We're waiting for our church to come. We waiting to go to church. I'm waiting to go to church. I can't wait to go to church. I will love going to church when that church, which is made without a man's hands, come down out of heaven. That's when we rejoice when we go to church. You see, like I said, you following behind their doctrine, you are off sides. All right, so let me finish this. It says, my tabernacle also shall be with them. With who? The children of Israel. Yea, and I will be their God. You hear that, Christians? He's not going to be your God. If you're consciously a Christian, then God will not be your God. And you will not be able to claim that you're his people. It says, and they shall be my people. And listen, and the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. See, when that new city, Jerusalem, comes down out of heaven, Zion, the church of King David, comes down out of Zion, then we are cleansed. Then we have our church back. That's what we're willing to lay down our lives for. And like I said, pay attention to this plan. Now, I had more to show and more to talk about, but we'll save that for another video. I think I've said enough to point you in the right direction. For you, heads of the household, to begin to really appreciate the men that they must lay down their lives for you common folks. I'm not a common person. I know that in my spirit. I don't think like a common man. It's unfortunate that so many of us think like common people. We do things like everybody else. The elites in this world, they don't act like you. They don't think like you. That's why they are the elites. They follow a different system, a different logic. And so will all of the 144,000 God's elect. They don't think like the average Negro. We think different. I remember the first time before I met Adaptodonis, I was talking to her one time on the phone. And I told her, if you wanted a common man, go to somebody else. That's what I told her. Boldly, I told her that. Because I told her I don't think like a common man. Neither will I love her like a common man. I think like an Elohim, because that's what we are. That's who we are, Yahweh. His people are called by his name. And so we are to think like this. And so that's what I told her. We don't think like common people. You can't expect a billionaire to think like a person that's struggling from paycheck to paycheck. But maybe the reason why you're struggling from paycheck to paycheck is because you think like a common person. You don't follow principles or instructions. You're like an animal. For lack of better words, you're like a beast. You're like a beast. that just gets up in the morning, goes out and looks to feed itself. Maybe it'll have sex, maybe not. Maybe it will rain on it, maybe it won't. This is the attitude of so many of you. You have no foresight. You have no vision. And nor will you seek it. And that's a shame. And that's why they were able to pull this plan off for such a long time. Like I said, it didn't start in 1927. It started long before slavery. And slavery was the beginning of it. It was the beginning of that persecution when they would cause all of those baskets to be upon our people and the people of this world. See, what we're about to do is not just to bring justice to black folks, we're bringing justice to the whole planet. And so these fellas deserve respect. So with that, I'm going to say Abanawa forever. And I want to say I appreciate y'all for supporting us down in the short section, which I can't say enough. I don't care if the video had 2 or 3 views on it or if it had 500. I appreciate you guys doing that because that shows that you're beginning to believe. And if you're beginning to believe, then you need to be like Christ. Like in the next video, I'm going to talk about Christ and what Christ is right now. I'm not going to talk about what Christ was. We need to talk like rulers. Like Peter said when he said that we would be a nation of priests and kings, right? When he spoke about that, he was saying that we would be rulers and we ought to think like rulers. We would be an aristocratic priesthood, a higher thinking priesthood. Not to condemn anything that came before us, but to do our job. And so with that, again, I say Abanawa forever. I thank you guys for getting down into the shorts and blowing up some of those videos and to show that we still have life in the Church of King David. And every day, you know, I'm going to do my part to fight for you and give you the maximum knowledge of Christ each and every day until I die.